Hello, this is Dale, and I'm joined by Mike. Hello, Mike.
Howdy.
Hi.
How's it going?
So Mike was just telling me about how maybe he's not feeling so well because you were doing, it sounds like he was doing something with the budget committee. You were doing deadlifts from a deficit?
Yes. It sounds kind of goofy talking about it here, but actually we didn't do that today. That was last Friday
Oh,
at my this workout routine that I'm on that is a lot like being in boot camp. But yes, that combined with today's sumo deadlift situation was it's a little much for me
you
here.
had
So
to lift a big, heavy Japanese guy?
yes, I know. I mean, go figure. You know, we're rolling tires over. We're lifting heavy Japanese guys. I don't quite understand it, but I'm much more fit now than I was. So, Dale, what is this? Are you ashamed of
What
your
am I doing?
nose,
No,
or
no, no. I'm just matching the picture over my shoulder.
yes, which is an indicator of you must have been thoughtful or depressed about something.
I was pretty upset about Simon Hare over my shoulder. It's a hall of mirrors, and if we get a chance, I may talk about this at a future show. There's also this great magazine cover. What does that say there, Mike?
1,501 ways to reward elected officials.
Oh yes. Oh,
Did you take that to the elected official compensation board thing
brother, I
today?
tell you, if there's a title on a magazine that makes me upset, one of them in the past was "Is God Dead?" This is another one. 1,501 ways to reward elected officials. Oh,
Mm.
brother, I am so opposite that point of view.
Well, no, I was thinking maybe in lieu of money.
Oh no,
Maybe we could like
this is
give
in
them
addition to
flowers
money.
or
Oh yeah, yeah,
oh, in
yeah.
addition to money. No,
Oh
I'm
yeah, the
definitely
elected
against
officials
that.
compensation committee decided we must give all elected officials a raise, but we're not going to talk about that at this moment. You know, you might wonder, and you're watching the show, well, they're eventually going to run out of subjects with this board of commissioners. I don't think so. So there were three things that happened today that were kind of interesting, and the first one was the commissioners are on their monthly show with their county publicist, KAJO Radio, and they were talking about the challenges of being an elected official that doesn't have 1,501 ways to be rewarded. Do you
Mm.
want to play the first clip there, and then we'll talk and laugh about it?
Sure. Yeah, I have no idea what's on this, so we're all gonna find out at the same time.
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute. Maybe we're not. Here, hang on just a cotton picking second here.
Okay.
Yes,
Well, I just really
it's
apologize.
it's a professional show. I mean, this is,
It,
okay, here we go.
An interesting week for you all last week, I would imagine, with the Congressman Walden's announcement that the SRS funding had been certainly passed through the House. So was that a relief week? Was that a stress week? What did that mean to all of you? And anybody can jump in here.
I mean, for me, it was a bit of information that was appreciated. It has to go through two of the three other hurdles. So
I was going to say, it's not quite a done deal yet, although Congressman Walden was saying it's pretty close.
pretty close, and you hope it is, and you anticipate it to be. But if there's anything that can go wrong, it will. So you don't want to get too excited about the money. We don't have it yet. It hasn't been signed yet. It has not been approved. Though it is moving in that direction, one certainly hopes it will be. But yet, you don't want to get your hopes up too high and anticipate something that might not be coming. Hopefully, it will be.
that in a
You
very
know what?
interesting way that matches with the Illinois Valley Airport Advisory Board meeting last night. Now, when Manor Development came in, the biggest contributors to Simon's re-election campaign, and that's pretty much where the entire process of making sure they were legitimate stopped. Oh, they're big contributors, of course. Do you remember the commissioner saying, if anything can go wrong, it will? I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't remember them saying that, but
What happened to this attitude of we must always be positive, and if we're positive, everything good is going to happen?
Right, yes. He should be, sternly rebuked for his negativity.
He's the one that's telling us just be positive and it'll all turn out okay.
Yes, that's right. You just need to start acting like the, recession is over, and the recession will thereby be over.
Now, why would he have this attitude? Because we're talking about money that's coming in where people are going to say, good, we've got the money. Let's not vote on the levy. Oh, let's not jump the gun on this. Let's jump the gun on every other project we've ever had, including putting up a plaque on a rock, and it's going to create 90 full-time family wage jobs for putting a plaque on a rock. Let's not question that, but we better question this money coming in because there's a levy at stake.
Well, I thought it was just funny that he was, the way he was vacillating back and forth there. It's
a good thing, it's a bad thing. It's a good thing, it's a bad thing. How about it?
It's a good thing depending on whether or not it's a bad thing.
She's my daughter. She's my sister. She's my daughter. She's my sister. Yeah. Some of you know what I'm talking about. Chinatown. Go ahead.
Okay.
The signs are looking positive, yes, but there's still some unknowns. One of those is, are they going to take sequestration, deduct that from the amount that we receive, which I believe is 7.3%. We don't know that yet. The other thing that we don't know, we've had differing information in regards to, we did receive some shared receipts in February of about $2.1 million. We don't know if they're going to make this Secure Rural Schools in addition to that, or if they're going to subtract it.
I thought that a decision had been made. Evidently not.
Well, we thought it had too.
I see.
But there's still some information out there that apparently to some of our congressional folks it's not quite clear. And, of course, you don't know what's going to happen to it when it gets over to the Senate. Because it is attached to the Medicare bill. And so there may be some things that will be changed still in the future. So nothing definitive, but approximately $4.6 million, but could be a little less or it could be a little more.
Right. So, there was a little information in there, but there's also a little, don't get your hopes up and still remember to vote for the levy. Now, I've noticed that throughout this whole thing on the radio station, none of them said they never mentioned the levy. But they do mention things related to the levy, which I thought was kind of interesting, and you'll see more of that.
Well, now, just a second. So, at today's general discussion, Cheryl Walker says, I haven't done a lot of talking about this, but I'm going to suggest this coming up soon, that if the money comes in for SRS payments, that we should have a resolution that if the money also comes in for the levy, that we'll take the money from the SRS payments and we'll make the levy amount even less. Oh, but we're not getting involved in the levy. There's no way that we're promoting the levy, except we're going to promise people that if this money comes in, that the levy will be even less money from you. And so they can think about voting for the levy. I mean, we're not suggesting that they should, but if they do, it's going to cost them less. They're involved in this. They can't keep saying they're not involved. Let's figure what's going to happen with that.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
I have to think about what you just said, because you're talking about them unilaterally, even though this measure has already been placed on the ballot and that's a done deal. They're going to say, well, maybe if they pass the levy, we can make that be even lesser. How can they do that? Do they have the authority to make it less or more?
Well, see, the reason they can do that and the reason they're suggesting it is when they keep telling you we're not involved in this levy in any way, even though Keith was the one that kicked it off. Mm-hmm. If we're not involved in any way, of course they're involved in every possible way. And
but that's not what I asked, though.
I know.
Do you know what I'm getting at?
Yeah, how can they do that?
Yeah, right.
I have no idea, and they're going to apparently pass it on to Wally Hicks to see if that'll fly with Wally. And really? Right. But they're suggesting this in an open public meeting while I'm taping it.
Well, and part of the reason for them suggesting that is suggested in more of these clips as we go further in.
Okay.
By Simon, I believe. I don't know when that comes up. But I'll play the next clip and maybe it'll be there.
Okay.
What does that do to our budget or your budget as county commissioners right now?
Well, it is our budget, it is the county budget, and what it does is that, we have the fiscal cliff that we have talked about, and the fiscal cliff has not changed. We're still sitting on the ledge with our feet hanging over the side.
I thought we were hanging by our fingertips.
Whatever money we get will probably be less than what we are currently functioning on, because we have received $1 million the last 2 years from the city, and we don't know what the city will do about that. What we hear is that they don't have the funds to be able to do that again.
The indications are they won't renew that.
The indications are they won't renew it. So with that $1 million out of the picture for the jail, and the fact that the 4.6 is less than we received previously, it's not looking really good. And what I would hope people would recognize is that if you don't like the level of service you're getting now, it's not going to be any better next year, even with the secure rural schools.
So why does she say this? Why is she saying this? Because Simon always talks about, well, we did that informational request of people, and they said they weren't happy with the level of service they've been provided. But see, that's because of the way the question was asked, in my personal opinion. If they had said to people, not only are you happy with it, well, no, I'm not happy with any level of anything that I receive. You happy with the amount of love your wife gives you? No, I'm not. Would you be willing to pay more for it? Hell no. So if they had asked people the real question, would you like to raise your property taxes to get more sheriff's services, they would have gotten exactly the opposite answer. It would have been 90% to 0, or whatever the current percentage is, and people would have said, no, 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 no.
Well, wait a minute.
How you ask the question. Yeah, go.
Didn't they claim to poll the amount of this levy, the $1.40?
Oh, no, I'm talking about what the commissioners did. The commissioners asked the question on their own. They put it on the ballot the last time. Do you feel that you're getting enough in services from law enforcement? No, I don't. Oh, end of question. That's all we need to know.
I ordered a pizza the other day, and I had to go get it myself.
Would you be willing to pay more for these services? We're going to do a poll. Let's please ignore all of the votes, which could also be called polls. We'll ignore all of that and only concentrate on, are you happy with the amount of... Well, if they had said, do you think we should stay in office, what do you think would be the answer? They're not going to ask that kind of question. They're asking something. Remember the other one that they asked? They said, if trees fall down in the forest and are rotting and nothing good is going to happen with them, would you be in favor of picking them up? Well, yeah. Oh, look what we got. Well, people want to harvest trees. Now, wait a minute. That's not exactly what they said. I mean, maybe they do, but it depends on how you ask the question.
Yes, of course. That was an interesting thing that was said in that last clip. But, what you responded to earlier on shouldn't be ignored as well, and that is now we are sitting on the edge of the fiscal cliff with our feet dangling off.
Yes.
Playfully, like we're sitting on a dock in the sunshine with our feet dangling in the water of a placid lake.
Well, what's the message that she's trying to say? What she's trying to say here, I mean, isn't it fairly obvious? Listen, everybody, we're still dangling over the edge of the cliff. Don't be thinking that it's all over just because we got these millions and millions and millions of dollars in that we told you probably weren't coming in. Simon Hare made a special trip to Washington, D.C. on our dime to go lobby for it, and then came back, and his answer was, well, nothing good happened.
Yeah. This kind of makes you wonder what he actually did when he was there.
I tell you
what we need to do is...
Go ahead.
We need to pay for, one extra ticket, and that would be the guy who is the people's advocate that follows him around with a camera to record everything that he's doing there.
Now, can you imagine, just imagine, in the audience there, imagine if we had a county commissioner, thinking about Mike here, imagine if we had a county commissioner who did what we do every night, came to you, Why not? Why shouldn't a county commissioner do that? Every night, and tell you what's happening behind the scenes. Tell you what's really going on in the county. Imagine if we had a county commissioner that was interested enough to share those details with you so that you didn't have to go begging for them, or as Simon Hare points out, it's going to cost you a lot of money to keep track of what we're doing, Mr. Matthews. Why should it cost us a lot of money?
Yeah. Well, and all good points there, Dale.
Thank you very much, Mike.
So, but let's
is in the budget.
Oh yes, that's good.
It's a magical budget that we have too.
So let's review.
Oh, we're going to review already, or don't we have more clips?
Well, yeah, we do, but
okay.
let's review here. We're going off the fiscal cliff. You know.
We're hanging both by our feet and by our fingernails, which conjures up a kind of an odd thought of how exactly Keith Heck can get himself into that kind of position.
Right, and then also we're hitting the wall. So we're hitting the wall. We're going off of the cliff. We are hanging by our fingernails, and we are sitting on the edge of the fiscal cliff with our feet dangling.
We've been looking at this hanging over the cliff thing, using exactly those same words for almost as long as I've lived here. They're always talking about dangling. We're on the cliff. You know, even when the sheriff came in 2009, which was a little while ago, went a lot faster than I realized. He was saying we're on the cliff. We're on a cliff now. It's going to happen immediately. That was 2009.
Yeah. Yeah, and the odd thing about that is when you look at the crime numbers throughout that whole period from the time when he was in office all the way past where he wanted to spend 4 years of funding in 3 years, and there doesn't seem to be any rationale for it by the numbers.
Every year it's a disaster. Every year they stamp their feet. We're not trying to scare you, but we're stamping our feet here, and you're going,
well,
I'm thinking it's last year. Go ahead.
It's entirely possible that he was drinking his own Kool-Aid there. You know, like I think maybe they get really into this and they start to believe it themselves.
It's time to do this again, Mike. It's time to do this again, just to match that photo behind me. Good golly, what are you guys talking about? We're not trying to scare you, but even though we got all this in, don't think of that as good news. It's actually bad news, and so you don't want to vote for the levy.
Okay. Here's the next clip.
Even with this $4.6 million, we're likely to see a reduction in services. Is that primarily in law enforcement?
If the money does come, it would be an incremental reduction, but it would be a reduction. It's not a maintaining the status quo, which is challenged right now with the public service, public safety. I mean, but that's a challenging budget that they have right now. It's not going to get any better, even if we do get the money. But it will not get a whole bunch worse if we don't get the money. It will get a whole lot worse.
What's that? What did he just say? It's not going to get much worse, but it's going to get a whole lot worse. And Chuck Benson tried to help him out. Chuck Benson tried to say, you know, even if we get this money, the reduction in services is mostly going to happen in public safety, right? It's not mostly going to happen in the assessor's office. It's not mostly going to happen in the commissioner's office. It's mostly going to happen to the one thing that everybody wants, right? And children will be more in danger than ever before, right?
Yes.
But we're not trying to scare you in any way. It's just that we're going to have to pull back. You know, there won't be any library. And let's pull out Lisa Shipley. Lisa, will the Veterans Service Office have to close? Oh, almost certainly if you don't vote for this levy. Where's Lisa Shipley?
Yes. You know what? It's always been weird to me about this thing that they don't make cutbacks in other departments. Clearly, listen, you know what?
Oh, brother.
Because
it's all
they haven't operated.
Hang
on a second here.
Yeah, I agree.
It's clear that, you know, we are talking about government here, and so you know that there's more people working there than need to be working there. We know their IT department can't get anything done, and they probably think they need more people because, oh my God, we can't figure out what's going on with the audio at the Ann Basker Auditorium here, so we clearly don't have enough people.
Two guys walk in with a cardboard box and get the job done the same day.
Yeah. Well, that's no. they're not engaged. They don't care. It's one of those things. But the point that I'm getting at is that I believe that you could spend a lot less money and get just as good, perhaps even a superior product, and send that excess money that you're saving over to the sheriff's department. But the sheriff's department, public safety, the whole public safety arena there is like a club to be used to beat people over the head so that they will submit and vote for the levy and give government more money so they can do what they want with it.
I thought that the club that was being used to beat people over the head and make them submit was the Rotary Club, but maybe you're right.
Well, one never knows.
It's a joke. Thank you very much.
Yes. Oh, that was bad. That was a bad laugh there. Okay, here's the next one. I'm hoping that this is the one where Simon talks about the levy without talking about the levy. Okay, here we go.
Well, at any rate, it looks like the future is a little brighter now than it was this time last month.
Oh, don't say that.
People to also remember that this is only a 2-year reauthorization on the House version, which really, that isn't any way to run a business. It's not a way to run our government. Our local services are dramatically impacted. We still have a shuttered juvenile shelter and detention facility. There are virtually no patrols in the rural part of the county, at least no substantial patrols. Our jail is not satisfying the need of the citizens, I would say, in Josephine County, certainly not the city if that contract goes away. So there's a number of things that still need help from a resource standpoint, and I think that's important for everybody to remember.
You know, I believe Congressman Walden's firm was, it's a Band-Aid.
It's a multi-million-dollar Band-Aid, Mike. Come on, get with the program here.
Well, and the funny thing about that is that I could have let that go a little longer because they left him hanging. They didn't even respond. They were like, and then he went, oh, well, anyway, and then he moves on to something else. But no, you know what? This is, they're not lobbying for the levy at all, are they?
No. In fact, they don't care. I mean, the fact that they had a follow-up meeting right after this where they were talking about ways in order to be able to help the levy to pass, they're not involved at all. Why do you keep saying that? You keep suggesting, Mr. Matthews and Mr. Jones, that we're involved. We're not involved in any way whatsoever. By the way, are you going to go to the SOS run against away from the law this weekend? Because I was sure there, and boy, they sure are a bunch of good people.
Yeah. Yes.
One more.
Yes, there is one more, and here's kind of the ditty. It's about the Illinois Valley Airport thing that Cheryl was at last night, and you might get from this. Pay attention to her tone as she's talking about manner development here, and you might get an idea of how that's going.
Oh, good. I was there, so we can compare and contrast.
Illinois Valley Airport, Cheryl, what's going on out there?
Well, we just had an Illinois Valley Airport Advisory Board meeting last night, and the project that's out there, the manner development, of course, has not started. We are still waiting for a payment from them, which we're assured that they will make. They're still trying to get all their investors together so that they can start their work out there and pay the money from, of course, comes from the investors. So nothing has taken place out there as yet. And Larry Graves, our airport manager, is on top of that daily, watching and working with them to make sure that things go forward as they are supposed to, because, what the county's interest is the lease. And anything that they put in out there, they have to bring forward to us. So everything is pending their submission of that payment and their proposal. So we're still waiting on that one.
You don't even need my help. Go ahead, Mike.
Well, yeah, this is kind of interesting. They're still waiting on their investors. They're getting their investors together. I mean, before you make a pitch like this, don't you get your investors together before you make a pitch like this? And they had a couple of months between the time when they pitched this whole thing and got it passed through the board, and the first of the year when they were supposed to start paying rent. So what's going on?
Well, it's obvious what's going on. What they wanted is they wanted to sign a contract with the county first. Because, yes, any normal person or business would get their ducks together in a row, if you could, and then they would sign the contract. But these guys, in my opinion, wanted to sign the contract first. So then they could go to potential investors and say, look, we have a contract. This county already believes in us. This is the same county that believes you can put up a plaque and it'll cause 90 jobs. This is the same county that believes you spend $50,000 with some guy that's changing and not going to do half of the stuff, and there's first in his meeting to sign the contract, he doesn't want to sign half of the contract. So they're a mark. So you get this contract already, and then you go to the investor and you say, look, we have a contract with this famous Josephine County. The only problem is we're famous, all right, but not famous for making smart decisions.
Yeah. Yeah, and, from some of the feedback that we're seeing on social media about this, apparently this Larry Osborne guy has pulled real estate deals in the Cave Junction area that didn't fly before.
That's correct.
So, I don't know. My father always taught me to, make judgments about what you could expect from people by their past behavior. I know that's just horribly
that doesn't work with the county commissioners, because if you went by their past behavior, you'd say, toss all these people out immediately. I mean,
yes.
Just for one thing, I keep mentioning it, this thing about where they're putting the economic development money into something that's not going to develop anything having to do with economics at all. They have no money to spend from the county, so they're taking state money and throwing it away. And then they keep saying, well, trust us, trust us, trust us. But based on their behavior, you can't.
Yeah, I just can't help wondering, because Larry Graves, he vetted these people.
Oh, yes,
vetted
fully
these people.
vetted them.
So fully vetted them. So when he fully vetted them, is he aware of this previous snafu that took place where this guy, set up some big deal and then didn't perform? Was that part of the vetting?
Absolutely. Number one was, these guys were Simon Hare's biggest contributors to his re-election campaign. Well, that's number 1, 2, and 3, isn't it? Okay? And then the second thing that he looked at, or the fourth thing they looked at, was, he says, oh, yeah, I knew that they hadn't performed in the past. La, 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 la. But you didn't mention that, Larry, did you? And you also didn't mention, Larry, that it's actually against federal law for them to do what they're saying they're going to do. Oh, well, as Cheryl Walker, well, we found out about that. No. She said at last night's meeting that they found out about that a long time ago before they signed the contract. She made it sound, did she not, that, well, once we did this, then we found out. No, you didn't find out after you signed the contract. You knew it well before, and she confessed that last night. She wasn't thinking about what she was saying. Then she stopped talking because maybe it occurred to her what she had just told everybody. They all knew that this was a problem. It was against federal law.
Yeah. The whole thing starts to stink. Well, not only is this thing that they were going to do a violation of federal law, and they apparently they got some sort of a waiver, I'm assuming.
A temporary waiver to explore the concept, basically.
Right. And so now that they have the temporary waiver, but that would seemingly take care of that. But now, how do you then account? I mean, how are you supposed to have, with authority, the ability to collect rents from current tenants there at the airport when you're letting these other people slide on tens of thousands, perhaps hundreds of thousands of dollars in lease payments?
A vital concept there, Mike, because federal law, once again, I know there are people that, state law and federal law, I'm so bored with that, really. why are you watching this show? If you're bored with that kind of thing, federal law says you must treat all of the the people that are getting the property.
lessors.
Well, they do treat us like lessors, but I don't like that
Yes,
term.
yes.
Okay, you must treat them all equally. Well, that's good news for everybody at the airport. Why? I don't have to pay for
Yes.
months and months, and they'll just say, "Oh, don't worry about it. They're
Yes.
eventually going to get."
I
pulling
wonder
the
if they're.
plug.
I wonder if they're going to nail them with some kind of a late fee.
Oh, that's a real good question, Mike. That was brought up. Well, now, what is their fee at this point? Well, I don't quite know. You don't know. No, and have you charged them any late fee yet? Well, no, not actually. Oh, really? Okay, and so why aren't you charging them a late fee, which is part of the contract? They're in breach of contract. Look, got a lot of people in the audience that says, well, that federal government's in breach of contract with us about the forest. Hello? Our own county is doing it with Manor Development, the biggest contributors to Simon Hare. Okay, so they're in breach of contract. When are we going to do something about it? If they're not going to do anything about this little, outfit that's a real estate speculator, how are they going to go and represent us to the United States government? They're not going to.
You can bet that if I had not paid on my hangar since January, that they would have moved my stuff outside and changed the lock.
Yep.
So
these guys are important to the re-election campaign of Simon Hare.
Yeah. Well, and they're doing business under a different set of rules than everyone else is.
That's correct, and that's against federal law.
That's really the point. Yes.
And that's one reason why Cheryl and Larry went without talking to the other two commissioners and flew up to Washington State to talk with the FAA to get them to change federal law after they had signed the contract. So when they were asked, see, her attitude during this things are, they're moving along. Boy, that was not her attitude last night when surrounded by people other than Chuck Benson who were actually going to ask her a question rather than just promoting the county on his radio show. When surrounded by people who had questions, she was doing that, putting her head thing down and scribbling 100 miles an hour. She was so upset. You can always tell when you got to play poker with this lady at some point, because when she doesn't have a hand, her tell is, that she has nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
You have video of all this that you've been working on tirelessly today. I know that you have, and so when can we expect to have some video from this?
A little inside baseball here. When you go and you shoot these things now with our better cameras, and boy, are they better! They're high definition. It takes a little while longer for it to get up onto YouTube, and sometimes YouTube says, "Ooh, an hour. Thank you very much. No problem." And other times it says, "An hour. What, are you kidding?" And it won't load it. So, okay, I've had a number of people say, we'd like to see that whole meeting, or we'd like to see at least the question and answer section with Larry answering and Cheryl Walker going like this and not wanting to say anything, right? And they'd love to see that. I'm going to put that up, and if people want that, I'll be happy to share them with them, but I doubt very much that everybody's going to want to see that whole thing. I mean, we had a whole show about it last night, and hundreds of thousands of people watched that.
Right.
So I'll be happy to put this up, and anytime you want to see that kind of stuff, you just let us know, and we'll be happy to share it with you. And I will put that up, and as soon as I can, I will. I'm going to try again this evening when the bit rate's a little bit higher. Maybe you know what I'm talking about. But I'm going to try to put that up this evening, and if I can get it up there, boy, I will send out a link to the people. I've actually gotten contacted by 3 different people saying, oh, can I please see the whole thing? Because it was very interesting to see somebody actually being able to ask a question of Larry Graves anytime, but without it being Cheryl Walker. Well, tell us, aren't things going better than ever, Larry? Oh, yes, they are, and thank you for asking that question. Well, you certainly are doing a good job. Oh, yes, I certainly am. Thank you for asking that question, too. Well, that wasn't really a question. It was more like a statement that's lauding. And I'd like to ask him, hey, when are you going to stop cursing at your customers who are saying you're charging us too much and calling F this, F that? Oh, be quiet, says Keithek, because using the word F is totally wrong. Well, how about if I say G this and G that and G your mother? Hey, Simon G. Hare, isn't that what it stands for?